Are we really doing this? I think we're really doing this. Oh my goodness, Megs. You got this. Hi, friends. Welcome to the official first episode of Soulful Living with Megs. I am beyond grateful to have you here, spending this time together. You have no idea how appreciative I feel in this moment. This is future me coming in right now, but I just wanted to say that reading all of your positive messages and support after posting my intro, it has meant a great deal to me, and I'm so excited. I know I already said that before, but this journey is so new but so fun, and I feel very supported and loved from all of that feedback, and I can't wait to dive into whatever this turns into. But that's future me popping in. I just wanted to say thank you so much for supporting me. I'm going to be honest with you. I am a very easily stressed out person. Shocker for people who know me in my personal life. You know that I stress out a lot over a lot of things. And so to make sure I don't go insane, I'm actually pre-recording the first 5 episodes of Soulful Living because I wanted to make sure that I had at least 5 weeks of episodes to upload. And so please don't think that I'm not taking in all of your feedback and comments. I am absolutely taking it all in, taking notes, making sure that I apply everything that you're giving back to me in future episodes. But I did set myself up in a way so that I had a bit more time to record other episodes during my weeks. I'm a very busy person with my full-time job, as I'm sure you are as well. And so I wanted to make sure that I had a few weeks of backup, which pat on the back to myself because I tend to procrastinate a ton for a lot of different things. But I really wanted to try to organize myself for this. Anyways, let's just get into episode 1, which is why do we get in our own way? I thought that this was a very fitting episode 1 to bring forward just because, as I previously stated in my intro, trying something new can be scary. And like this podcast for me, this is brand new. And so I thought it was fitting because I think questions like why do we get in our own way come up a lot of the time when we are wanting to embark on something new and just don't know how to navigate it. So I hope that, of course, as we dive into this topic in greater detail, that you take what resonates, leave the rest out. I really want you to feel like you're not alone, that you can take at least one thing with the next few minutes that we spend together, and that'll help push you into the life that I believe that you're meant to live. Oh my gosh. So I don't know about you, but I have personally always thought that I was meant for more than what I'm currently doing at this very moment. And I don't think I'm alone in that feeling. So if you've ever thought about, am I meant for more than this 9-to-5 corporate job? Am I meant for more than whatever it is? And that's not to say that what you're currently doing is wrong, but I think for me personally, I have such a creative mind and I have so many passions that I've always thought that I would bring that into my full-time career. And haven't you thought about, and this doesn't just have to apply to a career, but have you thought about something that you've always wanted to try, something you've always wanted to tackle? Have you ever had something come up constantly, something that's always presenting itself in some way to you, but you kind of stop yourself because there's a doubt in your mind that's kind of always there, always creeping in? And it's usually like a negative feeling, right? That there's that nagging of doubt. And it's so frustrating because why do we have this nagging doubt? Why do we have a negative energy surrounding our minds with these questions of I don't know, should I be doing that? It's risky, or what have you. Any type of I think negative energy or questions that are constantly popping in your head that make you stop yourself before you even try. But again, I think the question is, why do we have this nagging doubt? Why do we have this fear? And why is that stopping ourselves from moving forward? Why are we getting in our own way? I guess there's a fear of the unknown. If you dive into something new, you could be asking yourself questions like, what if it doesn't work out? What will my days look like if I do this new thing? And a fear of the unknown is so common, and I think it comes with anything new that we tackle where we don't know what's going to happen beyond. We can't predict the future. We can't tell this is going to be successful, this is not going to be successful, or I'm going to love this. Like, we don't know if we will unless we try. But that's the whole point of diving into something new, something that you've always thought about, because yes, there's the fear of the unknown, but how are we going to know what that is until we try? There's societal pressures that pop up, whether that's a timeline to have a certain thing. And I used to think that there was a time frame for everything, a time frame to find the love of your life, a time frame to be married. I thought when I was in junior high, I remember talking to my friends like, yep, I'm going to be married by 25 and have kids before 30 and what have you. And do I have kids? No. Am I married? Absolutely not. Not right now. But that's okay. I just think it's funny that back in the day, we used to think that we have a timeline for everything. And again, that is societal pressure and that comparison part of it where you're looking at other people's lives. But we're in an ever-changing world that's constantly growing and evolving, and so our timelines should shift too, right? Like, there is no timeline to do a certain thing. I think if you want to try something new, it doesn't matter if you've been in a certain job for X amount of years. Like, what if you wanted to go back to school? I don't think you have to be a certain age to do that. If you want to do it, why not? You are not running out of time. You can create the life that you want to create at any age, I believe. Another thing I think that pops up in a big way for me is imposter syndrome, and this ties into some limiting beliefs that we'll go over too, but imposter syndrome, feeling like you're not cut out or qualified enough to do this type of thing. But what does qualified mean? I think if you are trying and you're learning and you're exploring, you can be qualified to do anything you want to do. Who is telling you that you can't do this thing that you want to try? And you ultimately, you're just so hard on yourself that you can't seem to see that you can create this new future, that you can create the life that you dream of. And imposter syndrome comes up for me a lot, even in my current job, where I'm doubting myself and my capabilities because I'm scared, or I want everything to be perfect, and I'm nervous of this task. I don't know, what have you, but like, I forget that I am qualified to do the things that I'm doing because they wouldn't present itself to me, or they wouldn't come up in my life if I wasn't equipped to handle it. And those limiting beliefs, again, tie into it, where you're telling yourself over and over again, like, why you can't succeed at what you really want. And those limiting beliefs are such an obstacle as to why we get in our own way. But if we're constantly telling ourselves and our brains, I can't do this, it's too hard, it's not going to turn out well, it's not going to look like whoever Sally Sue down the streets thing looks like. If it's not going to look like that, then I shouldn't try. But these limiting beliefs are stopping us. And again, these are so normal to feel, but they are these barriers that are stopping you from getting what you want. Something else a little bit more, it's not really a thought, but more of an action as to what kind of stops you from getting in your own way, at least for me, is procrastination. And I am a huge procrastinator. I used to procrastinate growing up constantly when, like, in school, with school projects. I was a very good student. I tried very hard, don't get me wrong, but I also put off doing a project until the very end because I don't know, I feel like something in my mind was saying, if it's not going to be perfect, why are you working on it right now? And so I kind of always put things off until the very last second till I had to do it, and literally had to do it quote unquote perfect. But again, nothing in life is perfect, and I think that's the beauty of life. And I think life would be a little bit boring if everything was cookie cutter perfect or whatever. So I think in my life now, even the smallest tasks that I put off are ultimately making me get in my own way. And so kudos to me for pre-recording episodes because I want to make sure that I don't procrastinate and I'm not trying to upload very last minute, Sunday night, trying to get this up for Monday. I really want to put in that effort, but I'm only human, and so there are these doubts in my mind of, is it going to be perfect? I know it's not, but there's still those little thoughts in my head of, should you work on this today? Like, are you in the right mindset? And I think being in the right frame of mind and mindset to try something is important. Don't get me wrong. But also, you may not be. Like, if you're waiting to get into that frame of mind, you may not do it. And so, yeah, procrastination for me is huge. But I know that if I want to pursue this creative passion, like having a podcast, I need to sit down, even the days that I may not want to, and record, because ultimately, one, I always feel better after, and two, it's like working out. If you want to get your life, or if you want to be on this fitness journey and get in the best shape of your life, there are going to be many days where you do not want to get up and go work out or go to the gym or go for a walk, but you force yourself to, and then usually by the end of it, you feel very good. And so I think that procrastination, again, is something that makes us get in our own way. But if we can allow ourselves to just do and create, then I think we'd be surprised what our outcomes will be and what we make from that. And I want to reiterate everything that I have just said. You are not alone. If they sound familiar, I'm with you on all of these. I think so many of us struggle with this. I think wanting to try new things, but then getting in your own way can bring up a lot of feelings of frustration and discouragement. But I want you to know that it's okay to feel this way. You're just a human trying to navigate this world as best as you can. And I think that if we shift our mind, frame our mind to start to speak to ourselves the way that we would speak to a loved one, just because the more, again, you tell yourself and tell your brain that you can't do something, you start to believe them, and then you start to become those things. And we don't want that. We want to achieve our dreams, and we want to feel the best that we can. And I wanted to share that for me personally, when I'm feeling like I'm at a roadblock, or I don't know how to navigate forward, or I want to try something new, but I'm constantly stopping myself from either those limiting beliefs, the societal pressures, a fear of the unknown, and then I'm ultimately procrastinating, what I like to do to feel a little bit more in control of my life, it also helps me distress, especially in moments where I feel those things, is having like a really solid routine. And we can absolutely dive into these things that I'm about to share in greater detail if you're curious as to what I do as a solid routine on a daily basis that kind of help me. I think about it in the way of, if I have a solid routine, I'm kind of like in autopilot, where I don't have to think about these tasks that I need to do because these are just part of my daily routine. So then my brain has more space, my body, my mind, my soul has more space to then do these things, like sit down and record an episode, or try something new that I've always wanted to try. It allows me just to calm myself down, because if I'm constantly thinking and running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, I get very overwhelmed. I'm also someone who gets very overwhelmed quite quickly if I don't have a plan. And that's not to say that I don't mind spontaneity. I love it, but I also need that solid routine as a baseline so that I can then feel freer to do other things in my life. So I'm going to share what I have with you so far. And again, we can go into more detail if you're ever curious. But perhaps one of these things can help you put yourself into autopilot so that you don't have to think about these things, so that it will create space and room for you to get out of your own way a little bit. But first thing that I've been doing for the last, I want to say, year, is having a really solid sleep schedule. I mean, like, I am kind of a grandma when it comes to sleeping now. I think it's because, one, when I was in the dance company that I was in for the last 2 years, when I first moved to Vancouver, we were dancing during the week at like very late at night. We would end. And so I wouldn't get home until after 11. And I was trying to wind down at, 11:15 p.m. My body was just dancing for the last 3 hours, and I'm now trying to go to sleep because I have to wake up early for work. And so it was challenging then to have this solid sleep schedule. So I understand if you have extracurriculars outside of work or whatever have you. Of course, there are days that you may not be able to make it to bed at the exact same time, and I think that's okay, but trying to have a consistent, solid sleep routine and schedule is super key. And now I'm like a grandma. Usually my roommate Sid and I, we're lights out around 8. We watch a show usually before bed, and but yeah, 8 p.m. rolls around and it's usually time to wind down. Everything is prepped for my next day. Like, I already have my lunch and snacks ready for work the next day. And so it really is I brush my teeth or I shower if I haven't already. And then I try to be in bed by 8:30. I try to be reading between 8:30 to 9:30 so that I give myself at least an hour. Sometimes I'm in bed closer to 9, but I try to sleep by 9:30 so that I can have a solid, what is that, 8 hours? 9:30, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I wake up at 5:30, so I try to have a solid 8 hours. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. I get things can come up in life, so I'm not always in bed by that time, but I try to be, and I think having that solid sleep schedule is a game changer. Kind of to tie into that, having a solid morning routine I think is really important too. That gives me a little bit of control in my morning to then have a clear head for my day. And what I've been doing recently is stretching. I used to go to the sauna every morning, actually, because we have a sauna in our building, and I don't know that I'm supposed to go every day. I feel like that was getting a little bit excessive, but it was nice when I was doing it. But when I wake up, I usually stretch, and like literally I roll out of bed, I turn on my happy light to get some sun, well, fake synthetic sun and brightness in my room while I'm stretching, and I'll put on some frequencies that are calming. And yeah, I've been really enjoying that. I try to meditate. That one's really hard for me, but if you meditate in the morning, I think that's amazing. I also, while I'm stretching, I try to get some water intake in before I make my matcha, because I do have matcha ritual in the morning where I make a little latte and then I get ready. I love it. It's probably not great to have on an empty stomach, but that's why I have water before. I feel like that is at least better. But again, having a solid morning routine, whatever that means for you, whether it's going to the gym in the morning or waking up and getting some type of movement in, or anything, going on a walk before work, I think having that routine will just set you up for a really good day ahead. Something else that I do, that I try to do this every single day. Sometimes life gets in the way and I'm very busy at work, but taking a midday break is so important, you guys. And I don't just mean like heating up your lunch, bringing it back to your desk, and then eating in front of the computer while you do work. I mean actually taking a break. And so for me personally, I usually go to the gym at lunch. Sometimes I meet my friends for lunch, but I'm usually getting exercise of some kind. I luckily do have an hour break, and so I'll exercise for 30 minutes and then I'll get ready for, my afternoon. And so taking a midday break during your day, I think, is so important and can just bring some calm and clarity back into your life before you then move forward. Something else that's also important that I do that I think would be beneficial for you too is nourishing your body with whole foods. I think that's not just good for your body, but it's good for your brain. Of course, I love to indulge, don't get me wrong. And sometimes I walk by a McDonald's and gosh, I really miss their chicken nugs. They're so good. But usually when I eat fast food or I'm eating like junk, I feel worse after. And I'm sure you kind of feel the same way of like, if you nourish your body with whole foods and you have a home cooked meal, oh my gosh, it feels so good. Like right now I'm thinking about the fact that after this, I'm going to make my salmon. I have a really nice, Costco has really good frozen salmon. They have the skin off. I don't mind having it with the skin, but just makes it so much easier to like cut it up. And I cook it in my air fryer, and then I have quinoa and all these fresh veggies, and I made a little fresh veggie salad with it's going to be so good in this bowl, so I can't wait to have that. Now it's making me hungry, but nourish your body with whole foods and your brain will be equipped to then handle whatever it needs to handle. That's so important. I also love to read books and listen to podcasts that educate me in the topic that I'm interested in. Of course, I love reading books about fairies, and I'm reading A Little Life right now, and I'm almost done it, and oh my goodness, ripped my heart out. It is so sad, but I love reading fiction. But if you're interested in a topic, why not listen to things like listen to a podcast about it, or read books, or even take a course on something that you're interested in. I took a course back in November. It's called Uology. And my coach, Tanya, she's wonderful. And I met her accidentally, actually. Well, I don't think it was by accident. I think I was meant to meet her in that exact moment as I was trying to navigate what I was navigating. And it's something I've always wanted to work on myself. I'm constantly wanting to work on myself to become who I know I'm meant to be. And anyways, I took a course on, how to ultimately, I guess, get out of your own way. And her course is brilliant. Anyways, we can talk about that later too. But taking some type of course that you're interested in, I think, just to educate you a bit more in the topic that you want to explore, I think that's amazing. And I think that it can create steps forward to not get in your own way. This one is kind of a fun one, but not to say that the other things above are fun, because being in bed by 8:30 is extremely fun. But something that I encourage you to do, and something that I think really helps me during my weeks and kind of takes me out of my mind, is to romanticize parts of my week. I love romanticizing every little thing that I can, because I think that brings so much color into the world and into my life. And, if I'm going on a walk and I have a few extra dollars, why not treat myself to a little latte and go on a rich mom walk? And why not treat myself to $4 tulips from the market? I love flowers, and so coming home with a bouquet of flowers and having that sit on our coffee table is lovely. Just finding little moments where you can make it seem like you're in a movie almost and romanticize it. I think that's so fun and just brings so much joy into life when we're so serious all the time. And I think it's just a good, fun way to, again, like I said, bring color into this world. And so I encourage you to romanticize parts of your week. Now, I know I said we could go into greater detail from what I just shared, and I feel like I did. So there you go. Now you know my routine. But those are just some things that I do to maintain a bit more control in my life, like I said. And so it kind of puts me in that autopilot, and then I can start making my smaller steps in the direction that I want to go. And so I hope that something in what I just shared will maybe help you, but I'm sure you have a routine of your own that you can think, okay, yeah, I actually do these things on a daily basis that I don't have to think about, so then I can move forward into learning about this new topic that I want to do. But I think a huge thing is being able to find the time to do things that bring you joy. I believe lets you take ownership of your life, to bring yourself into that state of calm and clarity, to then find those steps to move forward. And if you feel like you're meant for more, if you feel that your purpose in life, whatever that means to you, and maybe you don't know yet, because I don't know if I know that yet, and that's okay, but if you know that it is maybe more than what you're currently doing in a career per se, remember, you're not alone in that. And it's so important when you're feeling that to attend to your emotional and physical well-being. And I just want you to know that you have the power to create change and to get out of your own way, because you ultimately do. I kind of want you to think about it in the way of, how would you talk to somebody that you love if they were coming to you and saying, I want to try this new thing, but I'm having doubts in my mind, or I just have these limiting beliefs that are constantly stopping me. How would you respond to your best friend if they came up to you and said that? Chances are you would be a lot kinder in your response to them than you would yourself. And so I want you to remember that you are ultimately your own worst critic, that you judge yourself more than others judge you, and we do stop ourselves before we even get started because of those limiting beliefs. But how would you talk to somebody that you care about? You would be there to support them. You would have those words of encouragement. And so I want you to tell yourself those things. And by telling your brain those things over and over again, I believe that your brain will start to believe it. I want you to talk to yourself in that kind way and watch the kindness unfold in your daily life, because you are extremely stronger and more powerful than you think you are. And I remember listening to a Mel Robbins episode about this. I can't remember if she said it or an expert said it. I believe it was an expert that said it, but that chances are if you try something and do that scary thing, you will be so proud of yourself. And it doesn't matter if you failed or you didn't succeed, which, I mean, I don't think that if you try something, you're gonna not succeed at it. But the point is that you will be so proud of yourself for trying that thing, whether or not it worked out. And wouldn't you want to, and again, he was talking about how wouldn't you rather try it than constantly thinking, what if? I know for me, I don't want to be years down into my life being like, oh, I wish I did that thing that I thought about doing when I was young. I really, really wish I pursued that thing because it's coming up in my life now. And if you're having that constant pull of, and those thoughts of, should I do it? Should I do it? Yes, you should. You should try it. I know it's scary, but it's worth trying, and you're always going to feel better about trying than not trying. I really want you to try. I want you to try the scary thing, and that when you do, it's worth celebrating and something to be so proud of, even though it was scary. You did it. You tried. And you're the only one standing in your way from trying. So I think we need to tell those parts within us that are stopping ourselves, it's okay. I am going to be okay regardless, and I'm going to try this scary thing anyways, even though you're trying to protect me and think that you're doing what's best for me by holding me back, but I don't want to be held back. Tell those parts that they can step out of the way because you are equipped to handle this. If you weren't meant to handle something, the opportunity would not present itself to you. This thought just popped into my mind as we were talking about this, but I have this picture on my desk that says, you will always end up okay. And I remember writing that or placing those little letters into this board years ago when I first moved here. And I think subconsciously I was telling myself, like, no matter what happens, you won't be able to see the other side of this. You're moving to a brand new city. You're joining this dance company that you haven't been a part of. You don't know anybody. You're embarking on this new career path and job that you've never been in before. But regardless, you will always end up okay. And I think that reigns true to today, is that I've navigated myself to this point now as I'm sitting here talking to you. And so for you, whatever you do, I think you'll always end up okay. I just want you to try. I want you to try to do the things that you think about, what sparks something in your soul. I really want you to try it. And I want you to know that regardless, you're going to be okay. And that I'm proud of you for trying it. And I want you to be proud of yourself, because I know you will be once you try it. I promise you will be. And I understand that you're tackling so much already. And I want to give credit to you for all of the things that you are doing in your life right now. It's a lot. And I want you to be patient with yourself. We need to get out of our own heads and just start living the life that we're meant to live, because we only have this one beautiful, long life. And I really want to make the most of it. And I really want you to make the most of your incredible life. You're here for a reason. You're a blessing, and you are meant to contribute something to this world, something unique, because you are here. And just by you being here, that's amazing. I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to this, and I can't wait to hear the feedback on this episode. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what worked, what didn't work, what you'd like me to do more. I'm still trying to get used to where I'm putting the microphone, because I feel like my fluctuation of voice can increase or decrease, and I'm trying to keep the same distance between my mouth and the mic as consistently, but of course I move and try to get comfortable again. But I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about this. I hope that you were able to take something from this episode, and I just want you to know that you have all of the power within you. You already have it within you. You are qualified enough. You are in control of your own life, and I believe that you can succeed at what you put your mind to. I hope that your week is filled with endless opportunities, and I hope that you feel a little bit more confident to live the life that you're meant to live, because I believe that you have that capability. I can't wait to connect with you in our very next, or our second episode of Soulful Living with Megs. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Okay, bye!